I'm speaking here today with Mark Hulme, who is fighting Dominic Humberger at Oktagon 74, August 9th in Prague. Obviously a big fight, a lot on the line here. The Tipsport Gamechanger tournament continues. So first of all, just how is everything feeling ahead of this one?
Everything's really good, man. Training has been good. Yeah, I can't say anything more than I'm excited to perform. I'm excited to really do my best out there, and I'll be leaving it all in the cage on the 9th of August.
And excited for the tournament, no doubt. I wanted to go back though. When you look at your last fight, you had the experience on The Ultimate Fighter and didn't go your way. You come into Octagon though, and you get a fight with a UFC veteran and Andreas Michailidis, and then getting that finish in the first round. I mean, that did that kind of tell you that regardless of what happened on the show, you are here, you are at that level where you can compete with guys in the UFC.
I mean, to that, I would say you you take a dog, a fighting dog, you go put it in a cage, you beat the shit out of it, maybe break its leg or something, and then you go put it up to fight. And naturally, that dog isn't going to perform the way that it should or can. And the Ultimate Fighter for me personally was I lost the fight, and big respect to Paddy, but I think that was something that I needed, something that like it's not something I wanted, it's something that I needed. I went in there like with this mentality of give me what I need, not necessarily what I want. And obviously, I wanted to win that. But looking back, I can see where I am today. This is exactly where I wanted to be. And having to pay the price of not performing to my best in that fight, it's okay with me. I never doubted what I could do. I never doubted who I was as a person. Like I said, you send a dog in there that's been beaten to a pulp. That's like, I think that fight was my first fight in 1 year. And I really went in with not just a niggle. A few months afterwards, I had a complete bicep reconstruction. Then stepping up to Andreas Michailidis, like I said, I can't remember in what interview, but to be honest with you, the way I look at it right now is I'm a dead man walking. Like I have nothing to lose. I stepped in there against Michailidis again, like slightly battered and bruised dog. I've told this story many times. I tore my lat 2 weeks before the fight, but there was just a different kind of belief, and I'm taking that belief all the way to the top of the Tipsport Gamechanger.
Well, it is awesome to talk about or hear about the mindset there. Like you said, dead man walking, you've got nothing to lose. Hopefully, this time you're feeling better physically. You're not coming off any major injuries or surgeries.
Yeah, look, I must say I've changed quite a few things in my camp, and one way that I like to put it to my coaches and people that might not understand, like, I am a dog 100%. I've been fighting since I was 15. I knew I wanted to fight professionally the first day I trained. And I mean, I moved into a gym when I was 18. Shortly after that, I went professional. And, this is my life. This is something that I've chosen. And I've taken quite a lot of bruises on the way up. I fought a guy called Adam Townsend, and it's probably one of the toughest fights I've had. And when I fought him, I kicked him, and right after I kicked him, I put my foot down, and I felt this like something pop, and I dislocated a tendon in my ankle. And I fought right through it. Like that shit doesn't matter to me. I don't think of it, like in a fight, you can literally fucking rip my arm off you, like do your worst. I'm not gonna quit, but if you beat me to a fucking pulp on the way to a fight, and I walk in there and I'm not confident in the machine that I have to go drive and use to beat the shit out of the guy in front of me, then naturally you're not going to see the performance that you're looking for. So the way I explain it is like this. A normal guy has 100 shots that he can take every day. And he can take that 100 shots all the way through 8 weeks to the fight. And then when he gets into the fight, he's maybe got 1,000 knocks that he can take. Where I can take maybe 50 shots a day, or I can take maybe 40 shots a day. But when I get into that cage, It doesn't matter how many shots I can take because I'm willing to die in there. I have gotten injured in there. I have torn ligaments in there. I have fought with injuries and come out top. But going into a fight knowing you subpar, knowing I have to fight this guy with one arm, that's a different story. So this camp, I've changed a lot of things. I've moved away from the contact. I've worked on my timing. I'm working with a neurology professor on the mental side of things, and I'm in the best shape of my life. I've bulked up to a solid middleweight. Um, yeah, I mean, this is the most excited I've been for a fight in my whole life.
Well, that is great to hear. And, we've heard a lot of fighters kind of do that, step away from the contact in training. I know Max Holloway did that as well earlier in his career, and he was a big proponent of it. So that takes us to the Tipsport Gamechanger tournament. Dominic Humberger is no doubt going to have the Czech crowd on his side on August 9th. But aside from that, what are you expecting in the fight, and what are you expecting to see out of him?
Oh, it's no secret that I believe Dominic's biggest asset in the cage is his composure. Uh, Fights that I've watched from him, not that he's like many recent fights. He comes out the first round really composed, weathers the storm, does it like sometimes takes more damage than is really necessary. And then he comes out the second round with a vengeance. And I believe he plays to his opponent's adrenaline rush and then the dump in the second. So that's definitely something that I'll be watching out for. It's not a heavy kicker. Like he throws them out there, but I'm not too concerned about any of his kicks doing real damage. Leaps in with his right to the hook. So when he's pushing forward, watching that right hand, and then obviously naturally that gets followed up by the left. And then when he's under pressure, all he does is that check hook. And I mean, I'm sure he's evolved. I'm sure he's training and he's adding tools to his arsenal. But all of that is, I've seen all of that. I've trained with the world champion Dricus Du Plessis, and I've been in Dagestan. I've trained there with those oaks. Nothing that anyone is going to bring will shock me. I expect a fight. I expect the crowd to back him, and to that, I would say honestly, what does it matter? If Dominic and I had to meet tonight on the street, we'd get down to business. And I don't care if one person sees, if no one sees, or if a million people sees. I know what I'm going out there to do, and that's leaving it all in the cage.
I don't want you to give away anything from your game plan, but when you talk about him taking advantage of that adrenaline dump in the second round, does it make sense to come out of the gate hot, or are you thinking of this as maybe more of a protracted fight where this is going to go the distance and you're going to take this the whole 15 rounds and try to drag him in the deep waters?
Yeah, I mean, it's never really been my style to lay back and, like ride it out. And I fought through that shit. And I mean, my record right now is 13-3, 16 fights later. The adrenaline dump it's not something that I'm afraid of. It's not something that really affects me. I mean, if I go look at Michaelides and I was still fresh. I mean, I practically kicked my foot off in the first round against him. But if Dominic is expecting me to crash in the second round, I've got bad news for him.
You mentioned Dricus Du Plessis there, obviously a training partner of yours, and a big part of the reason we've seen this upswell of interest in MMA in South Africa and Africa. What has it been like working with him? Because he's obviously got a big fight coming up as well.
I mean, this camp, like I said, I've made quite a bit of changes. I know that he's doing his thing and he's looking really good and sharp for his fight. But to be honest, we haven't really had any contact for this camp, nor for his camp, nor for mine. Like I said, I did make a lot of changes in my camp in the name of preservation, and I'm looking forward to come and show that on the 9th of August.
Fair enough. And then when we talk about South Africa, there has been kind of this rise. Do you feel that back home? Is it, kind of an upswell support? Do you get recognized more at all? And just how's the general feel for MMA in South Africa now? Because we even just saw the PFL debut there.
It's hard. It's really hard. I mean, like I started this when I was 15, back in 2009, and right through 2009 to about 2015, 2020, even 2021, people would ask me like, "Oh, you do UFC?" And as soon as someone says you do UFC, then I feel like I want to fucking show them what UFC is. And yeah, generally speaking, MMA is becoming a household sport in South Africa. People are waking up to actually watch full UFC events, not just for Dricky or for Cameron or any other South African fighters. And it's healthy to anyone who doesn't know. I would say like South African fans, they've loved fighting way before they even knew what MMA was.
Well, that's very cool. You mentioned getting into it in 2019 as a 15-year-old. I'm thinking in 29 or sorry, 2009, I should say.
2009.
Yeah, 2009. I'm thinking that's like a GSP era, Brock Lesnar era. When you look at the top guys in the sport back then, what got you into it? How did you get involved?
To be brutally honest with you, uh, how can I say it? I've never been one for academics. I'm not shy to work hard. I'm really a hard worker, but I don't like academics. I don't like the authority that they try to push out there of you're a student and you keep quiet, you don't know shit. So school it wasn't fun for me. It was actually really difficult in the sense of always finding myself in trouble. And so much so that my dad, he didn't know what to do with me anymore. And it was one of two options. He told me either I'll get shipped off to boarding school or I'm going to start training a martial art and learn some discipline. And that afternoon, I went home, I Googled baddest martial arts out there, judo, jiu-jitsu, da 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 da, and then I came across this UFC and MMA and these guys fighting in cages, and it was also real and style against style. And ultimately, I told my dad, "This is it. This is what I want to do." And against his better judgment, he took me to my first class, and like I said, right after that, I got in the car. I told my dad, "That's it. We can quit school. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a professional fighter." And it naturally didn't work out like that. I was forced to finish school. Something, something that my dad deeply integrated into me is, never quit. For me to finish school, that was one of the most difficult things I did. Not the work. That shit. That's bullshit. I didn't even go to school my last year. I just went and finished my exams. But physically, to know that I've still got 2 years left, I've still got 3 years left, and I just have to do this. It's something that my father asked me with tears in my eyes, please, for me, just finish school. And I said, okay, I'll do it for you, like, not for me. And to prove a point, I matriculated in 2012, and I didn't go and get my certificate until 5, 6 years later.
When you talk about, when you're in school, you don't love the discipline and the authority and everything, and then going into martial arts martial arts is based on discipline, right? So was that kind of a shock too? You go into the gym, oh, there's some authority and discipline there too.
And I tell you what I learned, and this is just looking back right now. It's not so much that I have an issue with authority. It's an issue for me when, how can I say this politely? It's an issue for me when someone has authority that doesn't really command it. It doesn't really deserve it. You're my teacher. Your authority is to teach me, and I will respect that and listen to you. But if your authority is that I'm a little shit and I must keep quiet and I must do what you say because you're the teacher, then I'm gonna fucking give you the finger and like try to burn your class down. The martial arts was like, oh, you think you're a tough guy, got a few beatings, like quickly learned, okay, shit, like this authority you have to listen to. There's actual repercussions. They're not gonna phone my daddy and bitch to him about my attitude. They're gonna whip it out of me.
Makes sense. When you got in the gym for the first time, you look at the UFC and you go, hey, this is something I want to do. Was there any one discipline that you took to the most, one that you kind of fell in love with initially, whether it was grappling or striking or anything?
Yeah, jiu-jitsu, man. Uh, Look, to be honest with you, I wasn't the most athletic. Like I was really a rubbish growing up. And the fundamentals of jiu-jitsu is that if I know a little bit more than you, most likely I'm going to catch you in something. And obviously, I love the idea of banging. I love the idea of like knocking someone out. But to be honest with you, that just God didn't bless me in that way. I had to learn that stuff. I had to work for that stuff. But what I did have was instincts, and what I did have was a sneaky triangle and an elbow. I remember I was like 16, 17, fighting grown-ups. Like back then, there wasn't really rules against that shit. And I fought this one guy. He was a boxer. Like he had quite a good lineage in boxing. And I was like really young, dumb, like at no, like really, like I had like maybe two, three, four fights, and I stepped in against this guy, and he did one of those like lunging crosses, and he hit me so hard. Like honestly, the only thing I remember was like, fuck, it feels like a mountain just fell on top of my head. And I ran to the guy and I jumped on him and I pulled guard. And from there, I got a triangle, finished him. And, that just speaks of I, I've got that fighter in me, man. Doesn't matter how I have to do it. If I have to jump guard and get a triangle, I'm going to do that. If I have to wrestle you against the wall, I'm going to do that. But I've spent the last 5 years in an incredible striking camp. And I'm finally confident in what my hands can do. I'm finally confident in what my feet can do. And same as last time when I stepped in there with Michaelides, it was a moment. We started off and he leaped in and he threw, I don't know, left hook or right, whatever he threw, and he hit me. And I just smiled to myself and I said, this guy's here for what I'm here for. I don't want to wrestle him. I don't want to fuck him. I want to fucking take his head off. And then ultimately I dropped him. I followed up and like if someone is gonna give me the choke, I'm never gonna deny it. Like I'm in the like ultimately I'm still in there to win. But the reality for me is having a record of 13-3 and not being in the UFC tells me one thing, that I have to pick up my performances. And that's what I've been working on, and that's what I'm going out there to do, entertain.
You mentioned not being in the UFC, and normally this is the part of the interview where I'd say, what are your long-term goals? We kind of know what your immediate goals here are because you're in a tournament and obviously you want to win the tournament. But
hmm
longer than that, is the UFC still the goal ultimately, or would you be happy to extend with Oktagon? I mean, they're doing some big things in Europe right now, probably the biggest promotion because honestly, the UFC never seems to get to a lot of Europe. But what's the ultimate goal for you? Is it still the UFC?
I mean, in one way, I would like I would like to have a run in the UFC. It's one of I mean, it's the organization. But on the other hand, brother, if they can't see the value in me, then I'm not gonna lick their fucking ass. If Octagon's showing me a lot of love. Octagon is investing a lot of into me. And yeah, to be honest with you, the way things are looking in the world as well, like America, China, Europe, like shit's getting crazy, man. Like if I'm gonna say it like that, I don't know if UFC is gonna be the best choice if World War III breaks out, or if that's even gonna be a choice. So long term, I mean short term, win Tipsport Gamechanger. That's number one. That's already gonna change my life. Ultimately, I'm a fighter and I want to be known as one of the best. Like I really want to be known as one of the best. And I'm not just saying that like sucking my thumb like every fighter should, like I want to be the best. I'm saying it like, hey, I want to fight the best. And if people think the best guys are in the UFC, then I'm gonna try my damn best to get there.
Fair enough. Well, I think that's an awesome point to leave it off. Mark, thank you very much for the time today. Best of luck in the fight, August 9th, Octagon 74 in Prague. Looking forward to it.
Very much appreciated. Anyone wants to check me out, Mark Hume MMA on Instagram. I'm very active, or I try to be. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you for everyone that's tuning in. See you guys at Octagon 74 on the 9th of August.
Perfect. Great stuff. You have a great day.
You too, brother. Thank you.
Thanks again, Mark. Have a good one.